thing that I wanted to talk about today with you is about your book. Like, how did you get that idea? Because I'm personally, into this domain for more than 15 years now. What I thought is to create videos, right? That's my own choice, which I made around 6 or 7 years ago. So I'm curious to know, what made you realize that you should write a book about, a card and payment industry. So what's the journey behind? What's the motivation behind this?
Yeah, so again, prior to me joining Branch, I was a very early employee over at Marqeta, which is an issuer processor of cards. And so I was spent almost 4 years there without any experience in payments. And so I joined that because I wanted to work with a really close friend of mine with no experience in payments. And when I first started there really wasn't much content, both in terms of blogs or books or videos, etc. And so I kind of had to learn a lot of the stuff by myself. And so I wrote a lot internally, Confluence pages and whatnot. Obviously, as that business was growing, I wanted to educate a lot of people there. But then when I left to Branch, Branch actually was not a payments company when I first joined. And so when I joined, it was kind of think about it as a shift swapping app for retail employees. So you can view your schedule, you can see if there are any shifts available. But essentially, it was all about us helping them make more money by taking more shifts. And probably a few weeks in, I came to realize that, it wasn't so much about taking more shifts. These people just needed to make more money, and they needed to make it faster. And this was clearly a payments problem. And so we shifted the business to be a payments company very, very quickly. And that business just took off overnight. And because of that, I had to spend a lot of time educating our engineers, educating our salespeople, educating our business folks on what happens in payments, get them interested in how money is made in the payment side. So I got an opportunity to compile a lot of my learnings into a book. And a friend of mine actually urged me to take a class on how to write a book. And so I took that class, and as part of that, I was, taking a lot of my writing and learning and putting it there. But the one thing that I was going to call out is, for me, I'm a very visual learner. And I need stories, I need drawings, I need it's hard for me to grasp these concepts without that, right? And which is why I really enjoyed work.
I'm sorry to cut you down. So you need a visualization of what you maybe, read about, or maybe what you experience on a day-to-day basis. I understand that. And interestingly, people would prefer to maybe create some training materials for others to learn, or I decided to create a video, right? So it's really interesting to know someone has decided to write a book. It's not just that creating a training content or maybe a video of as a training, right? And help others to learn the domain. But it's really good to know that that was one of your motivation behind writing the book.
Yeah, well, again, I wrote the book specifically for my team at Branch. And so and it's okay, if I sell even 50 copies, it's really great. And that's actually what happened. When I published the book, it was peak pandemic, around April of 2020. I couldn't even get the book in the hands of the people at work because we all became remote, right? So I had to send these books out to everybody. But then what happened is it slowly started people started picking it up. And then I started getting messages on LinkedIn from all sorts of companies, including Visa and MasterCard, Marqeta, Galileo, TSYS, Stripe, and Square. And they're all said, oh, I really enjoyed your book. We want to use it as kind of onboarding material for our new employees. So that's kind of where I think a lot of this took off, which has been great. It's been a humbling experience just because I wasn't expecting any of it, right? I wrote the book for selfish reasons. I just wanted it available for my team. I was expecting to sell 50 copies, right? But it's cool that people are picking it up and using it and finding it useful.
Oh, and would you mind sharing how many copies you have managed to sold, so far till date today?
So far, I think I've got about 15,000 copies sold.
Oh, wow. That's really a big number. I've reached 15,000 followers on my YouTube channel. So congratulations, Ahmed. That's really great to know about your books. And to be honest, I was one of the early reader of your book. I remember that, and I've gone through it. And the way that you had explained, the way you had created the stories behind that, as you said, you like visualizing things. You like, some diagrams, some stories behind that. So I also like the way I learned a lot of things from your book, that how you should try to, maybe convey your knowledge to others. How can you cascade that information to others? So that was really great learning even for me. So moving forward, Ahmed, let's talk about a bit of, about your role in branch and what kind of, the business that you do in the branch, and what others, the product that you have, that you sell. So I'm curious to know that you said, because earlier branch was never been into the payment, business, but probably you joined and then you have started venturing into the payment as well. So my question is particularly in that area, what kind of product that you have and what's your role exactly there in the branch?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way that you can think about branch is that we accelerate payments to workers. So workers could be standard W-2 employees, or they could be 1099 contractors. And the idea here is you should be able to pay somebody after any unit of work. So you complete a day's worth of work, you should get paid. And so that's what we're really working to enable, because majority of financial problems are actually because of cash flow issues. And especially with the demographic that we work with, typically are mid to lower income people. They typically will spend all of their money the moment they get it, and they won't have any more money until their payday. So if they get paid on the 15th or the 30th of every month, then they get their money, they spend all of it, and they won't have any money in between. And so that creates a lot of stress for a lot of people, because, if you have an unforeseen expense that comes in, they're scrambling to borrow money from somebody, or their family, or they're going to a payday lender. So we want to be able to smooth out the cash flow for a lot of these people and hopefully reduce their stress. And so the best example that I can give you is for pizza delivery drivers, we can get their tips delivered to them digitally after every delivery. For an Uber driver, we can get them paid after every ride, or after every, if it's Uber Eats delivery guy, then you can get paid after every delivery. And then finally, if you are working at a restaurant, we can get you paid on a daily basis.
So who are your customers? Is this the end consumer or the user, or in between there are processors or bank?
Yeah, that's a great call out. So what we do is we do not go directly to the end consumer. We always go to either their employer or their gig platform, right? So an example of an employer is Domino's Pizza. They actually hire and maintain their pizza delivery workers. But then on the 1099 side, Uber is the next best example, right? So we actually power the Uber Pro card here in the US. And so all of these Uber drivers can actually get paid instantly after every ride on our platform.
So, but since the payment and the fund flow is involved, is there any sponsorship required from the bank by any chance? Not for you, but maybe for the business that you are selling to?
That's right. So again, in the US, you have to be using a sponsor bank to power this. And so essentially, you can think of it as we're offering checking accounts to these workers, and it comes with a MasterCard debit card as well. And so since it's our account, we can go ahead and post very frequently for free. And so the objective here is that for the worker, we don't charge them anything. And even for the employer or for the gig platform, we don't charge them anything.